let's continue with this other matter now. Velenkosini Hlabisa, of course, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister, joins us. This is in the wake of one of the deadliest natural disasters to hit the Eastern Cape. The death toll following the devastating winter storm, that continues to rise, of course, with the search efforts still underway. Families have been displaced, many currently seeking shelter in overcrowded community halls. They're lacking basic necessities, including food and clothing, medical support as well. And so as these recovery efforts are underway, Minister Hlabisa is going to be joining us to speak about the government's response, really also what the road ahead looks like for the communities affected at large. Minister Hlabisa, on that note, I dare say good afternoon, but thank you for your time at this point and for weighing in, because we obviously have seen, developments unfolding and the numbers, the death toll rising. Talk to us about the latest in terms of the search and recovery operations that are still underway as we speak.
Good afternoon, Lizel and the viewers of SABC. Indeed, the search and rescue team is still on the ground because yesterday we knew that there were 5 people who were still missing when the figure was 78. And the rescue and search team is able to find more people on a daily basis. And by the end of the day, I would like that we give officially the statistics as of today. Yes, the police are the processing body. Once the postmortem by the forensic team has been done, but there is a process that we follow in terms of disaster management so that we confirm a figure in a formal way. But it is true, we are still going to be experiencing this scenario, which is very painful. But once we have discovered completely the 5 who were missing, we will be at a little bit at rest of knowing that people reported as missing have all been found, which will not rule out a person who was living alone and who was not reported by anyone as missing.
Absolutely. Those are certainly some of the scenarios that we obviously have to consider at this point. And thank you for verifying and just speaking to the fact that there have been more bodies recovered, 3 in fact, as we're speaking. But just as COGTA itself, ensuring that municipalities are equipped to handle the aftermath, mitigate against future disasters as well, particularly for vulnerable provinces, subject to the impact of climate change, like the Eastern Cape. What are those measures that have been put in place? How much has government set aside for this disaster in particular?
We gave 3 weeks for the 4 provinces because on Thursday, we made a classification of a national disaster. A classification, Lizel, for the benefit of our people, it is nearly the same as declaration of a national disaster. Some people are calling that, why don't you make a declaration? If you make a declaration, you need to make regulations for that declaration, and someone might challenge them. It can take longer before you intervene. But the classification of a national disaster, which we did on Thursday, the 12th, allows all 3 spheres of government to intervene, to use the budget they have, and we gave 3 weeks to the 3 provinces to compile data, and we will do the assessment of the information. And I'm going back to Eastern Cape on the 7th of July. It will be on a Monday, where we will be releasing the grants for intervention on the disaster, which will include the previous disaster up to this one, because we're at the beginning of the financial year in terms of funds being available to intervene.
Well, Minister, at this point, will government be issuing a post-disaster assessment and report that, we can really look at the benchmarks in terms of what has been promised and what's been delivered, but also working closely with local community members as they continue to build their lives? Once the cameras have been switched off, officials have also left and winter continues. Talk to us about what is going to be actioned on that front for the long term.
Liesel, in my meeting right now, I am together with Minister of Human Settlement. The Minister of Human Settlement has deployed the technical team to identify and quantify the damage in terms of the houses. In that area, there are people whose houses destroyed are on the river bank. They cannot be rebuilt in that area. 2 hours ago, I spoke to MEC for Cooperative, who assured me that there is a land belonging to public works at a national government where temporary structures can be built so that we remove people who are on a floodplain into an area that is not prone to floods. And for the rest of the people who are not on the floodplain, but whose houses were affected, human settlement, once the assessment has been done by the technical team that is on the ground, temporary structures will be provided so that as we are at a winter stage, they are not affected by being exposed without the shelter.
Well, Minister, I know that there are learnings happening on the go, but this disaster has obviously struck and, the most vulnerable have been affected. I want to thank you for your time with us here on the SABC at this hour, for confirming the latest figures. Of course, not just confirming that 3 more bodies have been recovered in the Eastern Cape floods, but we're looking at the recovery, mechanisms that have been put in place and really what that is going to look like. Minister also just speaking to the resettlement issue, rebuilding for those who, had built their livelihoods across flood-prone, lines as well. Again, thank you to him for joining us at this hour. Let's continue to monitor that as the days progress.